Hey everybody, how are you doing? It's Ope here, Ope Gaming, and like I said, I'm back. I want to put out another video this week. I'll probably put out one more too, probably on Saturday when I have the time. I'm working my long stretches right now, so it's hard to get in and get some content in. But let's kind of tick off the big thing at the top of the list. Let's talk about it right now. Referral program. So if you're not doing the fusion, which I highly recommend you don't do, I've reevaluated my decision on early and mid game players doing it, because I'm going to tell you right now, just don't do it, period. You can only skip 15 shards, and you can't do it in either of the summoning events or the training events. You have to do it, I think it was in Fire Knight, which you're going to end up doing anyways, probably, because you have the Dungeon Divers event too to make up for the shards. So, personally, skip it. He's not worth it. He's very mediocre and bland, and there's no content in the game now, or I would wager in the near future, that will warrant you to need Nathro. So, if you are going to pick up somebody, probably pick up the guy from the Sacred Order. Let's take a look here quick. This guy, Anchorite. It seems the two Sacred Order guys are the best ones of the bunch. So if you can't pick up Anchorite, he'll help you with a clan boss team, not an unkillable team, but he'll help you with essentially like a die team. You know, he's good at doing this here. Removes the random deal from all allies and increases the duration of all buffs by a turn. That's great. Goes to a 3-turn cooldown. He'll heal targets and give an increased crit rate and crit damage on everybody, which is great. So you don't have to have 100% crit rate on your team. You can get them up to 70. And then he'll attack all enemies and heals the ally with the lowest HP at 10% of the damage inflicted, which is pretty decent. And he has an HP in all battles by 25%. So pick up Anchorite if you're wanting to do a little bit of the fusion. But he is the hardest one to get. And then Karlia is another good one too. I like the aesthetic of these candles. It's the same model as Ursula the Mourner, which is nice. 40% chance booked up to 60 to attack an enemy and place HP burn on her A1. That's pretty good. A2 remove or attacks all enemies, has a 55% chance, books up to 60, 75% chance playing decreased attack for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted if the target is under an HP burn. That's pretty good. I wish it was 100%, but I mean, yeah, I guess you gotta draw a line somewhere on epics, right? They all can't be 100% of everything. And then I don't agree with this though. Always watched. 6 turns, booked to a 4. Decreases the duration of all debuffs on all allies by a turn. Then gives them the baby strengthen buff for 2 turns. This buff cannot be removed or stolen. I think this would be an all-star champ that I even myself would go for if this was the big version of strengthen. And then her passive says every time an enemy in an HP burn debuff gets a turn, decreases the duration of 2 random buffs on that enemy by a turn. So I was looking at all the other content creators and seeing what they were talking about, and I'm not ashamed to say it either. You know, I'm still a player, so I'm curious what the big brains are thinking. And they're thinking this whole thing, especially with these two, is like an introduction to Hydra fusion. Essentially, it's the same thing with Nathro, because you can use him in Hydra because he has an all-ally attack and an unremovable shield buff, so which is good against the Head of Mischief. And then he brings this into, which I'm still willing to bet the shield that the cleansing head puts on the head with the lowest HP, still willing to bet that is coded as a shield, and this comes into play. And I don't see this, I think this is just him that inflicts more damage, not the team. If this said, you know, allies inflict 20% more damage to targets under shield buffs, that'd be pretty good, I'd think. I'd tip the skills more toward, maybe, but yeah, he's just not wowing me. I like the aesthetic. He looks like King Thranduil from Lord of the Rings, so nice little look there, especially with this, you know, crown and all that good stuff. Let's see, who were the other two? One was an ogre, or an orc, rather. Right here, Guerna. She's not worth going for. Very subpar. And she loves to read, apparently. That's 5, that's 10. 12 books actually isn't bad. But yeah, she looks really cool. I like that sword. It's got a little wolf skull or a dog skull at the bottom there, jawbone. That's pretty neat. Speaking of dog, I tell you what, Plarium, if you ever see this, please, more dogs in this game. You screwed up with Terror Beast. He was like one of my first epics. It was him and Mausoleum Mage and Husk were my first 3 epics. And I think Terror Beast was the first. I was like, oh, cool, I got a dog. Yeah, he ain't great. He ain't great. I don't think he's ever been great. But, yeah. She's pretty cool. I wonder if the next guaranteed event, because we've done Ancient, Sacred, and I wonder if they'll do a Void guaranteed. I wonder if Rock of the Volatile will be the guaranteed one at 90 shards, I assume. Because, I mean, they're saying she's pretty close to being on the power of a Duchess, and I'd have to agree with that. The only thing I don't like, though, is she can still do this when people are alive, which means your res is going to go on cooldown, but it's 4-turn res. I don't know. I like her. I think she looks pretty sweet. I like this whole, like, Hell's Angels thing that she has going on. I get, like, a lot of Guillermo del Toro vibes from a lot of these, you know, these dudes. Look at that guy. But, and what was the other one? I'm trying to remember. Wasn't the Lizard Men? We only covered 3. Let's look. Or do this. Oh, yeah. Wuji. Wuji is actually one of the harder ones to get out of this. And Nubs has a video, which I'll link down below. Because, screw it, I might as well just start being the gateway to other content creators. But she fills the same position as Oboro in this faction. But Oboro is a Void Epic. Where you can use them as the bait tank for the Head of Mischief. So you give them a ton of resistance. You make them slower than your slowest person. And they give themselves buffs. So they'll have more buffs than the other teammates. And the Head of Mischief will target them because they have more buffs. But you fool the Head of Mischief by giving them like 500 resistance. You see what I'm saying? But from the video that Nub and YST did, she put out a lot of damage. So, and she looks pretty cool too. She looks like Sub-Zero or Noob Saibot or whatever Mortal Kombat character you want to associate. So she attacks one enemy, 30% chance placing a weaken for 2 turns. That picks up to 50. We'll target all enemies instead if she's counterattacking, which she puts up the counterattack buff on her A3, which is pretty cool because it has a 3-turn cooldown, and you have a chance with masteries to get that to buff to be up for 3 turns. That's kind of cool. So this is really neat. So she has essentially an auto attack A1 if you lead with Shinobi Arts, which you should, because she's going to be your bait tank, and you want her to have more buffs than everybody. And then World of Darkness will attack all enemies, 55, 60, 75% chance of placing block buffs for 2 turns, and you can mastery that up to 85% chance. Or I'm sorry, 80% chance, which is pretty decent. I mean, she is an epic. There are epics like Ugo who are just chef's kiss. She's out there. And then she has increases ally attack in all battles by 25%. I think she's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely one of the harder ones to get in the fusion. And so is our smoky boy, Anchorite. So, Raid just kills it with the aesthetics. Yeah, this guy went full, like, crazy. All the crosses, he's got the parchment, and I want to say it's upside down. He turned it into a hat. He's like that kid when you were in class, and he was always wearing the Burger King hat all the time. So, yeah, I like it. Oh, he's got tattoos. Nice. Oh, and he's got stuff on his back. I wonder if this stuff says anything. That'd be pretty neat. But that's all I have for this video today, folks. Remember, if you are going to skip this, skip it. But if you are considering getting these epics, these 2 are the 2 to get, and this one here. So good for Hydra Clan Boss, good for Hydra Clan Boss. But remember, this right here, Woojie, is the hardest one to get, and Anchorite is one of the harder ones to get too, if I'm not mistaken. And Karlia, I think, is one of the easier ones to get, but she's definitely worth it if you're wanting to get her for Hydra Clan Boss. So if you like the options, but boo this champion here, boo them, and then boo this guy, boo. You look cool, but fuck you. All right. Everybody, I want you to have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming over and looking at the video, and I'll see you next time.